Hello, I am Andrew. I'm the outreach and process coordinator for the Critical Zone Collaborative Networks Big Data Cluster. And today we're on our road to AGU 22 with, introduce yourself, please.
Hello, my name is Bryn Stewart. I'm a PhD student at Penn State University, and I study environmental engineering and biogeochemistry under Dr. Wheatley.
And how many times have you been to AGU?
Um, I want to say 4 times, like one being virtual in 2020. Yeah.
Yep, that's about mine too. I think this might be my fourth time or fifth time, depending on the virtual stuff. So always an exciting thing. And one of the things I wanted to talk to you with today, Bryn, is some people who'll be watching this. This will be their first time going to this
Mhm.
amazing experience. It's overwhelming the first time that you go. Thousands of people who are like-minded, studying amazing things. I guess I'm gonna ask this first. What's it like for you, and what can people expect when you walk into either a poster session, a hallway, or into an oral session, and you see someone whose work you've cited several times, or a researcher that you really respect, or someone you're a fan of? What should people expect? How do you cope with those feelings of not fan personing out on them?
Oh wow, I didn't think about that question, but wow, yeah, I think obviously that's very exciting and maybe a bit overwhelming, as you mentioned, but I think the important thing to realize is that this person is a scientist just like you, and they're going to be excited to talk to you probably if you're excited to talk to them. And so this is your opportunity to learn more about them, learn more about their work, and kind of make that connection for the first time.
Do you have to like show off and say, "Oh, and that paper that you wrote and so and so, and oh my gosh, I read that, and oh, whoops, I dropped. Oh, here's my poster. I'm presenting it over here." What is the balance of self promotion in networking with a peer versus listening?
Ooh, I think for me, I have a tendency to not want to show off, to be like very, very humble and maybe a little too much. So I think just being very open and honest about your interests and what you like to do and what you're interested in, and then if you have read this person's work and you are really excited about what they're doing, then mention that, of course. But you don't have to know every paper that they've ever written and know exactly all of the details and what method they use and everything like that. Just start a conversation and let them know you're interested.
Don't bring a Sharpie and be like, "Here, could you sign my copy of EOS?" That'd be great. Um, What do you wear to AGU? And this is for both on days that you may be presenting at your poster or days that you're just going and listening to things. What do you wear?
That I don't think there is a correct answer to that. I think I've seen people wear everything from, kind of more formal, the businessy kind of attire to super casual, um, not really business attire at all. And I'm usually somewhere in the middle. I would suggest that you just wear whatever you're most comfortable in, and when what you're comfortable presenting in, whether that means being more formal and making yourself feel like this is what I need to do to make myself feel professional, do that. But if you're more of like a jeans and t-shirt person, and that's just what makes you feel comfortable and makes you want to talk to people, and it doesn't kind of stifle your energy, then do that. Do whatever makes you comfortable, I think.
It sounds like from the way you sort of interact with other people and then how you present yourself, it's authenticity that is the way to go, not trying to put on a show.
Yeah, that's definitely a good word to use and something I try to go for as well.
I'm going to ask a very specific question about things to wear. There's a lot of walking.
Mm.
But some of my shoes that I like to look good in aren't necessarily comfortable for walking. How do you balance the shoe issue?
I made that mistake last year actually because I wore a pair of shoes that I'd not worn before, and my ankles were destroyed by the end of the first day. So definitely bring at least a pair of shoes that you can walk around in, even if you don't want to walk around in them all day and you want to wear a fancy pair of shoes while you're presenting. Have maybe an extra in your backpack just in case. But yeah, I think comfort above all is more important if you just want to be able to walk around and not be imposed by any wardrobe issues.
Which is the days are long and they're full of a lot of
Yeah.
things. The last thing you want to worry about is I just want to go somewhere and sit down. There's a lot to do.
Hmm.
What do you pack besides what you're going to wear? I mean, obviously we got to plan for Chicago. That's where we're going. So it could be anything like that. But do you bring notebooks, computers, laptops, extra battery banks? What do you pack?
Yeah, I think I generally just focus on the things that I would use day to day. For like attending a conference, that's for me just like a notebook, to be able to write notes in during presentations and write down people's contact information, things like that. And then, yeah, if you prefer taking notes on a laptop or if you're planning to continue working through the week as well, which a lot of people do, that's obviously, of course, an option to bring. Some people prefer like the iPad kind of notebook type things for the taking notes and for continuing to work so that it's lighter and more travel friendly. But yeah, whatever your normal kind of note taking and working situation is.
The thing that you just said made me wonder because you mentioned some people work throughout the whole week. They do different things. They're going to the conference and during the day, and they're writing or doing it whatever at night. There's some different sort of social pressures at AGU or for any conference where like come out with us, come have drinks or eat with us afterwards, or but you might be feeling I really want to go and recharge.
Hmm.
I don't have that capacity, but I don't want to say no to these people because I'm supposed to be networking. How do you approach that sort of making those decisions? How do you say no when someone wants to network with you?
Yeah, I think knowing your kind of social, I guess, boundaries or social capacity is really important. And maybe making sure you have not necessarily like a strict timeline that you abide by, but just making sure that you have time to yourself if you need it. Not saying yes to everything if that's something that's going to completely drain you throughout the week. But yeah, if something comes up and like someone wants to, get dinner or grab a drink or whatever, and you're really at the end of your, wire, maybe just try to meet up later in the week, maybe schedule something later. And people are generally there for more than one day, so there's usually more than one opportunity to meet up and chat with someone.
It's always hard to stick up for yourself and to set those boundaries, but
Mhm.
experiences like this are a good time to practice in a very safe environment. I think everybody I have found there has been very encouraging and like, okay, great. I totally understand. I get it, is
Mhm.
when I hear things like that. Um, this is a question about posters.
Mhm.
Print in advance and carry in a tube or print down there at the venue?
Ooh, I've only done the first. And that's usually gone off without a hitch. Sometimes they so I fly generally from State College, which is a very tiny airport, and they're very tiny planes, and so sometimes they'll take it from you at the gate, and then they need to put it somewhere because it won't fit inside the cabin. So that's a thing. But yeah, I've heard people also just print it down there, and they usually have a whole setup. Organized beforehand. I've also heard people print them on these sort of fabric sheets that you can kind of fold up, and it's less of a nuisance when you're traveling by plane. So that's also an option.
The fabric posters are fascinating to see. They're more sustainable. You can do reusable and things like that, and so it's just really interesting to see the variety. And then, of course, I have seen the people who print out 8.5 by 11 pages and then put them all up a
Oh
mosaic
yeah,
style. So there's some personal choice when it comes
yeah,
to your poster.
yeah.
Um, the last question for this episode of Road to AGU 22 is how do you prepare your voice for a poster session? You're going to be standing there for a long time. You're going to be talking a lot, maybe answering the same questions over and over again. What sort of vocal preparation or practice do you recommend? Do you have friends that you do a poster session with before time, or how do you prepare for that physically and vocally?
Yeah, I probably don't have enough of a routine for that, and I haven't done a poster in a while. But I think just a good thing in general is to practice beforehand, make sure you're comfortable going through your little spiel and you have that down. practicing in front of peers or friends is a really great way to do that. And then, you can reciprocate if they're also doing a poster. But yeah, I think during the, whatever time slot you have allotted for you, making sure you have water or something else to drink as you're standing around and talking a lot is really important so that you don't croak up and lose your voice throughout the hour or two.
That made me think about something, and you mentioned that, it's been a little while since you've done a poster session, so you might not have had this experience, but I always sort of wonder when I see, because if you haven't been to AGU before, the poster hall, lines and lines and rows of literally hundreds of science posters. And as you go up and down the rows, some people seem, and I'm going to use this word, it's not the accurate word, but I'm going to use it for purposes of this discussion. Some posters seem very popular and some
Hmm.
others aren't. And what is it? How would you recommend people sort of approach? Why aren't people asking me about my work? Why are they talking to that person down there and not me? It can be hurtful in some ways.
Yeah, and I think that can often, like, the buildup of people around one poster can just happen because I don't know, some animal instinct is like, oh, something's happening there, we need to go there. But I think maybe a good practice, as if you haven't gotten a lot of traffic in front of you, is maybe um, trying to reach out to people as they walk by instead of, I've also done this where you just kind of look and wait for them to approach you. That they might not want to do that, or they might not. It could even be like a field issue where they're not really familiar with your specific focus and they don't really know what question to ask or where to start. And so they might be intimidated to come up and do that. So just kind of being very approachable and saying, hi, do you want to hear about my research? And it's about so and so. That can just be a good way to get someone started to look at your poster, I think.
That's an amazing suggestion. I really, really like to think about that because it can be like, hey, I just saw you talking about that thing. I have also been researching something aligned or right along lines with that, or I'm thinking about that same sort of stuff. My questions that I've been talking about in this poster are similar. You would like to let's talk about it because people are
Yeah.
there to share and hear and get. And you never know when that next collaboration is going to start.
For sure.
Thank you. I think we're going to be hearing about the schedule at the 6th, I think, or something of October or sometime around then.
Okay, great.
So we'll make another time to check in for episode 3. Thank you so much. Are you excited?
I am. Yeah. I'm excited that you're coming now too.
Yes, obviously, I'm very, very excited. It is one of my favorite things to do in the year. Thank you so much for taking some time, Bryn. I'll talk to you again soon.
Sounds great. Thank you, Andrew.
Bye.